Hey guys, just wanted to check in real quick. I'm sure our fans, like all two of you, are wondering where we've been these past couple of weeks. We've actually been pretty busy. Dan got a new job, so he's been working at that. I've been kind of lazy, so it looks like Jake and I switched places. And Jake has in-laws in from Russia, so I guess they're busy infiltrating our country, stealing our secrets, probably opening a portal to the motherland in preparation for the inevitable invasion. So I guess they're planning to revive the USSR here in Utah or something. We knew this would probably happen though, so we actually had about 3 weeks worth of recordings done just in case. But Jake's hard drive got a virus or something from looking at anime cow porn or something, so we lost all those videos. Although considering what he was looking at, we probably shouldn't be too surprised that happened. So E3 happened a few weeks ago, and I kind of took some time to gather my thoughts on what happened, so I wouldn't be too influenced from the hype. So for this video, I just want to talk about the stuff that I found that I really liked. The first thing I really liked was Fallout 4. I thought there was it showed some interesting concepts, like being able to see what life was like before the bombs fell. That's always been like a source of interest for me, though I've been kind of lazy to look it up on the internet. But at least now the game's gonna let us kind of feel like what life was like beforehand, although it's probably going to be very brief. But that's better than nothing. Although it doesn't look like it's going to stray too far from the Fallout 3 formula, and I'd actually prefer it that way. I like 3, I like New Vegas, and for me, more of the same is good. Don't mess with an established formula if you don't need to. The weapon mods look awesome. I'm not sure how deep it'll be, but from what I'd like to see, it does look like it's going to be a little bit more like Borderlands, perhaps. Like where there's like basic gun types, but with tiny differentiations between them, like a pistol with laser sight for better accuracy, or a sniper rifle that can hold more ammo, or maybe even a machine gun with less recoil. Maybe I'm getting that wrong, but I'm really hoping that that's what they do because I feel like, yeah, kind of the guns all feel samey after a while, and I would like to build like my own customized guns. The one thing I didn't care for though was kind of like there's this house building aspect, which sounds kind of awesome, but like in Fallout 3 and New Vegas, I was always like moving around. I was never staying in one place for too long. So I don't see how like having a customizable safe house can help me all that much. I pretty much just used the one in Fallout 3 to store like extra items I had but didn't feel like selling. So I essentially just became like a giant trunk I used. I feel like this feature would be a lot better if their game had some type of co-op to it. Like we could pimp out our crib and show our buddies what we found, all the cool stuff that we put in our house. Maybe even allow us to like co-inhabitate with like one other player on your friends list. That way like it's not like a multiplayer game, but you still have this kind of co-op feel to it and like you can trade items you find in game. So not necessarily like the two of you go out in a single world together, but kind of like a hub world, like an MMO, where you can come. It's like, oh, I found something awesome. Oh, I found something awesome too. So you guys are kind of just trading back and forth. I think that would be really nice, and it wouldn't hurt like the isolationist feel you get from playing either. I also tried out that what's it called, Fallout Shelter. I think. I hope I didn't get that wrong, but I have to admit, like this had an incredible first hour. I was just hooked on it, and unfortunately, this is kind of the way it is with most free to play games. Like the next 2 hours are just so boring, and I never really went back to it after that. Like I get like the idea that like they need to make money. It's like here it's free, but then like if you want you can pay for it. But I feel like with free to play games, it's always insanely good at the beginning, and then like there has to be a point where everything just grinds to a halt and gets insanely boring. So you kind of have to force yourself to pay for it in order to continue the game. And I really don't like that. I would really prefer if Fallout Shelter was carried like the first hour of it throughout the entire game, but you could spend money on buying like Fallout characters like Dog Meat or Fox from Fallout 3 or maybe even Three Dog. I would love to have Three Dog in there, even if he doesn't do anything but like go around like being a DJ. That would be cool. But yeah, this game just wasn't for me. I'm sure other people really like it though. What else? Microsoft's. I guess I got to talk about the Big Three's conference. I have to admit, I'm not like the biggest Xbox fan, so I didn't really care too much about what was coming out of Microsoft's conference. I mean, it's not out of fanboyism or anything. It's just that it doesn't really have my kind of exclusives, and the Xbox never really had that. I like the more like artsy fartsy games as opposed to hardcore shooters. But I did see that there was a rare collection, so I might have to pick up an Xbox One just so I can play the classic rare games I love so much. I did like Halo 5. I thought what they showcased had some really interesting ideas for the upcoming multiplayer. And for me, that's essentially all I play Halo for. I never really cared much for the story. For me, Halo has always been like this multiplayer, me and a couple of buddies sitting on the couch just playing together and having fun. It kind of has like that old GoldenEye flavor that I like about it. If there's one thing you can really say about the Halo series is that whether you love it or hate it, every game at least has some really solid multiplayer. I mean, it is consistently like at the top of its game, and so I don't think they're gonna mess up with that. Although I'm sure I'll talk about Halo 5 sometime in like a future video or something. As for Sony, I really can't talk about Sony's conference without at least mentioning Last Guardian. We finally found out that hasn't been canceled, despite all the rumors. That's awesome. I really like platformers, and the team Ico or Eco, they really like pull out some great platformers that are interesting and kind of get you hooked and thinking. It's kind of like it engages you more than just a regular Mario would. And I really like that. Although it does kind of suck for PS3 owners because I've talked to a lot of people online who have been waiting for that game and actually bought a PS3 just to play that game since like 2009, and now it jumped ship to the PS4. I kind of feel bad for them. Which is why I always say, like, hey, don't buy a console. If you're going to buy a console just for one game, wait for that game to come out first, because you never know, right? It could come out for the console you currently have or something. What else? Of course, the biggest news in the history of forever, Final Fantasy VII Remake. I love Final Fantasy. I don't know what they're going to do to the remake to make it different. I know that they talked about adding certain stuff, like, what's that guy's name? Nomura, I think, was talking in the interview about how it's like we can't do a straight remake because it's going to feel too old school. We got to add some new stuff. So it's kind of going to feel like a remake more than a remaster, like we got with Final Fantasy X and X-2 on the PS3 and Vita. It makes me excited. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to see what new stuff they have. And on the plus side, we still have the PS1 version on PSN, and I think they said that the PC version was being released for the PS4 in October. I'm gonna remote play that on my Vita, but if it comes out for the Vita, I'll gladly buy both of them. So there's that too, and then Shenmue 3. I mean, if there's one thing Sony is doing, it's like, hey, remember that nostalgic feeling you got? Yeah, we're gonna bring that back. So, in those two games, I'm surprised they came like pretty much right next to each other. Because when you talk to people on the internet, those are two of the most requested games to be made in the history of forever. And I know they're not quite the same. I mean, Final Fantasy VII is going to be a remake, where Shenmue 3 is. We finally get to see the ending of that story with Ryo. So, I didn't really like how it was a Kickstarter, though I can kind of understand why they did that. They needed. It's a big game, and it's like there's a lot of money going behind it, and Sega lost a lot of money on Shenmue 1 and 2. Like, I think, what was the news? They needed to sell like 2 copies of Shenmue for every Dreamcast there was. It was insane. It cost a lot of money. So I guess the Kickstarter is kind of like, before we make this, we want to make sure you guys really want it. And it's not just a handful of people on the internet screaming really loud. So I can understand why that is. I just wish, like, the Kickstarter goal has been met, and, like, the extra goals aren't really that great. It's like, oh, subtitles in Spanish and German. Like, if we hit these stretch goals, shouldn't it be, like, something big? Like, at least voice actors for those perspective languages, right? I don't know. And then, lastly, Nintendo giving us a new Star Fox game. An actual Star Fox game this time, not Star Fox Adventures or Assault, which is essentially a new game with a Star Fox paint on it. Which is great, because, like, you can argue we haven't had an actual Star Fox game since Star Fox 64 on the Nintendo 64, right? I mean, I know there was a remake on the 3DS, and there was like Star Fox Assault, and then there was one for the DS. Felt like the DS was more strategy based, whereas for me, Star Fox has always been like on rail shooting, and that's what I want it to be. Although this one does look like it's going to be a little bit different. Like you'll be like all of range mode is going to be, which before it was like just for boss fights, but this time it's going to be more. I don't know, like you can do a lot more with it. Like you can go inside an enemy base and destroy it like Anakin Skywalker style. That would be cool. Or you can just swing around like whatever structure you're at and just kind of like shoot it from the outside and destroy it that way. So kind of like adding a bit of strategy. I'm fine with that because the first Star Fox 64, yeah, I think the first one did too. Star Fox 64 and the one on the NES. No, I don't think the SNES had a all range mode, but the 64 did, and that was fine. Like it's within the Star Fox. Like for me, it's like I look at that and think, oh, that's still Star Fox, so that's fine. It's not like we're gonna go around collecting stuff, play like a Legend of Zelda. So I really like that. And like for me, the biggest hype game from Nintendo is the Super Mario Maker game. I know most hardcore gamers like The Legend of Zelda, but for me, Mario has always been my main Nintendo guy, and this game is essentially going to give me an endless supply of Mario levels to play around in. And from what I saw, pretty much whatever you think up, you can do. Like, I didn't get a chance to play around with the Mario Maker, but I did get to see like videos of people playing around. And I think as long as the online infrastructure is in place, with levels being easy to upload and download, and the file size not being too much, because the Wii U only has like what 30 gigabytes of space. I don't even remember. I have a black Wii. I don't know how much space is in there, but it's like it's not really big, right? I mean, Microsoft launched their original 360 with a 20 gigabyte hard drive, and that's like that was a little bit even for 2005, much less 10 years later. But like it's like in the SNES style, so I'm like maybe these file sizes are going to be like 10, 15 megabytes. And if that's the case, it's really going to be awesome. And I don't see why Super Mario Maker shouldn't be the number one selling Wii game this generation. I mean, Mario games always sell well, and this one's essentially, hey, it's a Mario game and whatever else people can think of. So it's essentially like the only Mario game you ever need to buy if a bunch of people buy it. And like at that point, I'm thinking to myself, this should be the number one selling game. Period. Everyone should buy a Wii U just for this game alone, and it should be like the best selling game Nintendo's ever had. Period. So for me, like I'm really hyped up about that. And that's like I know this sounds kind of short, but that's really all that stood out to me about E3. It's been a month, so like a lot of the stuff I saw, I guess if I didn't mention something, either I didn't care for it, or maybe I found it negative, or like worse yet, I just don't remember it. Like I remember like there was like little bit like robot dinosaurs. I don't even remember the name of the game, like Robot Dinosaur Land or whatever. It's like, and I'm thinking to myself, how great can a game be if a month after being hyped up, I can't even remember it. So that's really all that stood out to me a month later. But let me know what you guys think. I mean, what do you think was really positive? What are you looking forward to that you saw at E3? And you can say it in the comments. Maybe I'm sure Jake won't reply, but I'll try to. I know I'm really bad. But let me know in the comments. We'll talk.